Hi everyone, this is Emerald from EPG, Every Platform Gamer, and this is our video review of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond by Retro Studios on the Nintendo Switch 2. The Metroid series began in 1986 on the NES, introducing players to Samus Aran, one of gaming's first female protagonists. Known for its atmospheric sci-fi setting and non-linear exploration, Metroid helped define the Metroidvania genre alongside Castlevania. Over the decades, the franchise evolved from 2D side-scrollers like Super Metroid to the groundbreaking 3D Prime series, which reimagined the formula in first-person perspective. After Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, the series went quiet for years, save for spin-offs and remakes like Metroid Samus Returns and Metroid Dread. Fans waited nearly 18 years for a new Prime entry, making Metroid Prime 4 Beyond one of Nintendo's most anticipated releases. When Metroid launched in 1986, it was a revelation. At a time when most games were linear, Metroid dared to be different, offering a sprawling, interconnected world that rewarded curiosity and persistence. Players weren't just running left to right, they were exploring, backtracking, and unlocking secrets through newly acquired abilities. This design philosophy birthed the Metroidvania genre, a term that still defines some of the most beloved games today. The original trilogy, Metroid, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, and Super Metroid, cemented the series' identity, atmospheric isolation, non-linear progression, and a sense of vulnerability that made every upgrade feel earned. Super Metroid in particular became a benchmark for game design, influencing titles like Hollow Knight and Ori the Blind Forest. Its cinematic opening and a haunting tone remain iconic even 30 years later. By 2002, Nintendo faced a challenge: how to translate Metroid's essence into 3D. Enter Retro Studios, who delivered Metroid Prime, a first-person adventure that retained the series' soul. It wasn't a shooter, it was an exploration-driven experience, complete with scanning mechanics and environmental storytelling. Prime 2 Echoes doubled down on complexity with light and dark world mechanics, while Prime 3 Corruption cemented and experimented with cinematic flair and motion controls. Together, these games redefined what a first-person adventure could be. After Corruption, the franchise wandered. Other M tried to fuse third-person action with heavy narrative, but its melodramatic story alienated fans. Federation Force was a co-op experiment that missed the mark. For a time, Metroid seemed lost, overshadowed by juggernauts like Mario and Zelda. Yet the series endured through remakes, Samus Returns and the critically acclaimed Metroid Dread, which revitalized 2D gameplay for a new generation. Fans were left clamoring for more after the first reveal title of Prime 4 debut, and rightly so after such a long wait since Prime 3. For some, expectations were reaching fever pitch. Announced at E3 2017, Metroid Prime 4 initially began development at Bandai Namco Studios. However, progress stalled, and in 2019, Nintendo made the rare move of publicly admitting the project wasn't meeting expectations and restarted development under Retro Studios, who were the original Prime trilogy developer. This reboot, combined with the transition to Switch 2 hardware, extended the timeline dramatically. After years of silence, Nintendo reintroduced the game in 2024 with the subtitle Beyond, finally launching on December 4th, 2025. Reports suggest the delay stemmed from technical challenges and design overhaul, including implementing new mechanics like the psychic abilities and an open world hub. Announced in 2017, Metroid Prime 4 became a symbol of anticipation and frustration. Development restarted in 2019 under Retro Studios after early progress faltered. Fans waited 8 years, enduring silence and speculation, until Metroid Prime 4 Beyond finally launched in December 2025. The game embraces modern trends, open zone hubs, psychic powers, while honoring its roots with meticulous level design and atmospheric isolation. It's not perfect, but it's a testament to Nintendo's willingness to take risks even after decades of reinvention. The game opens with Samus answering a distress call, only to be transported to Vuros, a mysterious alien planet. Here she encounters remnants of the psychic Lamorn race and gains new psychic powers, which add a twist to classic exploration and puzzle solving. The narrative leans more heavily on dialogue and supporting characters than previous entries, introducing Galactic Federation allies and even a motorcycle called Viola for traversing the desert hub Sol Valley. The game opens with Samus answering a distress call, only to be transported to Vuros, a mysterious alien planet. Here she encounters remnants of the psychic Lamorn race and gains new psychic powers, which add a twist to classic exploration and puzzle solving. The narrative leans more heavily on dialogue and supporting characters than previous entries, introducing the Galactic Federation allies and even a motorcycle called Viola for traversing the desert hub Sol Valley. While these additions aim to modernize the formula, some sites and gamers felt they dilute the series' trademark sense of isolation, whilst others felt the game does need some modernizing, which can be a tricky balance, and so we emphasize with the developers Retro Studios, who had a monumental task to try to please the core fans whilst bringing in new gamers. Core mechanics remain faithful to the Prime legacy: first-person exploration, scanning environments, and lock-on combat. New psychic abilities allow for environmental manipulation and creative puzzles. Combat is fluid, with improved mobility and elemental beam variants. Boss battles are a particular highlight and are all spectacular and varied. The open world hub and bike traversal can feel a little underdeveloped, offering little beyond basic enemy encounters. I do wish this was developed more and fleshed out, but I am left hopeful for the next game in the series, building on what Prime 4 has started. Controversy began on launch of the game when many sites were highlighting talkative NPCs and how it's game breaking, which is complete nonsensical, and then the false narrative of unlocking a radio jukebox-like feature to play music whilst traversing the desert. Some sites spread and perpetuated this false narrative that the only way to get this radio for Viola was to buy an additional amiibo, which is plain false. You can unlock the feature quicker if you have the amiibo, but you can also just play the game and complete it, and most should also eventually unlock the feature, making this a non-starter. On Switch 2, the game impresses technically. Players can choose between 4K 60 FPS quality mode or 1080p 120 FPS performance mode, both delivering smooth gameplay with minimal frame drops. HDR implementation enhances the vibrant alien biomes, with particular the particle effects also being some of the best yet seen in a Nintendo game. Lighting is also a true highlight in this game, and those with OLED TVs will be treated to some of the best yet seen in a game by Nintendo. Compared to past titles, Beyond sets a new benchmark for visual fidelity, rivaling big budget sci-fi games in art direction. Digital Foundry are quoted in saying this is some of the best HDR implementation they have seen in years, and from Nintendo this makes it even more special. The game has gorgeous environments and art direction. Retro Studios are to be commended on how they consistently outshine much higher budget games on more powerful hardware and bigger budgets, yet with striking art design they deliver in spades. The game doesn't miss a beat. Classic Metroid exploration with movie-like sheen and modern polish. Silky smooth 60 FPS or 120 FPS with fluid combat and epic memorable boss fights. Metroid Prime 4 really is a technical masterpiece and strives for excellence on the Switch 2. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is both a celebration of the franchise and a cautious step forward. It doesn't reinvent the wheel like Breath of the Wild did for Zelda, but it delivers a solid, visually stunning adventure that fans will appreciate. Whilst not perfect, it is a well-crafted entry for fans to sink their teeth into whilst the wait for another game begins. After 8 years of uncertainty, Retro Studios has given us a game that proves the Prime series still has life in it yet. It's amazing to think that this Nintendo given the industry a first-person shooter, while Sony and Microsoft, who have both lent heavily into the genre in the past, have now left the genre fans wanting more. Metroid's influence is immeasurable. It helps define exploration-based design, inspired countless indie hits, and introduced one of gaming's first female protagonists, Samus Aran, whose stoic resilience became legendary. In an era of obsessed with hand-holding and waypoints, Metroid still champions the thrill of getting lost and finding your way back stronger. From the pixelated corridors of Zebes to the alien ruins of Vuros, Metroid has remained a series about discovery of worlds, of secrets and of self. It's a saga that spans generations, proving that true innovation isn't about chasing trends, but about deepening what makes a game timeless: mystery, mastery and meaning.